Hello and welcome to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, presented by Coors Light. Go from full-time to game time. Coors Light, made to chill. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review the show. I'm your host, William Liu. I'm joined on this Monday afternoon by my fellow co-host, Blake Murphy, Alex Wong. Raptors lost on the weekend, losing to the Celtics. The Raptors return home from pretty much almost a 2-week road trip. 2-2, and the Celtics game was a nasty one. I guess we can start there because you have it listed that way, Alex. But we have a really fun show prepared for you today. You know, we got some action Bronson, we got some Washington Wizards content coming up for you.
Oh, you read the rundown today?
Got a draft. We might play who he play for.
Yeah, I hope we play who he play for.
So
that's why I'm sticking around. But yeah, you know, we're in this real hot studio today. So facilities, please turn the temperature down. Yeah, the Raptors got blown out in Boston, like you mentioned, on the weekend. And yeah, where should we start? Pascal, OG, Scotty combined 13 of 45 from the field. You know, the Celtics just dominated. You know, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis. Tatum was a plus 42.
Yeah, he now has the record for most plus 40 or higher plus-minus games.
Oh, in the last 20 years.
Yeah, well,
like
however
that, right?
long we've tracked plus-minus, which isn't super long.
Damn. Yeah, so there we go. The Raps.
So we're out on plus-minus now.
We're out. We're out on adjusted, estimated,
regularized.
Yeah.
All that stuff, progressed, whatever.
Yeah, it's really hard to get you guys engaged when the Raps lose, man. Where should we start?
No, we can start with this game. Look, Blake, I want to ask you, like, because to me, I always felt really like pessimistic going into this matchup. I remember on Friday we talked about just our thoughts on the game, and the lines had not come out yet.
Yeah, you took the Celtics on the hypothetical line that wasn't out yet.
I just blindly took the Celtics. If you told me the line was Celtics minus 10, I would have been like, yeah, I would go with the Celtics. Why do you think this is such a bad matchup for Toronto? Because I feel like I've seen this version of the Celtics smacking up the Raptors many, many times, including on Christmas Day, the second time ever in franchise history. Raptors got a Christmas game, and that game was ruined. We lost by like 20. So
yeah, so it's a little. It can be tough to diagnose because so many pieces have changed for Boston, and they remain a difficult matchup. I think what we saw with Porzingis there, similar to a different style, but in terms of execution-wise, similar to what we just saw with Dallas and how tough the Luka Doncic pick and rolls were to handle. With Jakob Poeltl there, the Raptors did look a little bit better defensively when they could switch those actions, and I do think that they're probably going to struggle with really good pick and pop threats like Kristaps Porzingis. That's part of it. I think this team is obviously, even though we like Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam as wing creators, and Dennis Schroeder's been better than we expected, this team is still a minus in terms of ball handling, and the Boston Celtics have the best defensive backcourt. We saw on Saturday that Drew Holiday can guard all over the place, right? Like, as good as anyone thinks Drew Holiday is defensively, he's better. And so those things add up, and you know, Tatum and Brown shouldn't be that impossible for the Raptors, right? If you were to list the NBA teams who have enough wing defenders with size to capably handle Tatum and Brown, the Raptors would be up there, right? OG, you trust on them. Scotty, you would trust on them. Pascal, Precious, if he were not first game back from injury, you have some guys you could trust on those two. But when you layer in the difficulty that a really good pick and pop threat is going to cause for them, when you layer in that offensively, it's going to be really hard for them to get into their sets with pace, with tempo against that defensive backcourt. I think there's just a lot of things that tilt in the other direction of this matchup. Even if we distill this to a 2-on-2 game, you'd be okay with the Tatum and Brown matchups, even though those are, their two best players and they combine for 56. It's kind of the other things that are going on in orbit around those two.
Yeah, it bothered me how it felt like they didn't even need to break a sweat too much. Like, at no point where the Celtics pressed.
There are only two times the Raptors won, or the Raptors like really could be happy with anything. It's like they showed the most resistance when Mazzulla made the late challenge. That they got fired up, and like the hang the banner for. Well, Boston rested Al Horford on the first night of the back-to-back so that he was available against the Raptors.
They could have rested him on both ends of the back-to-back. They didn't need him. They were good.
That's their Otto Porter, man.
Yeah.
That's actually, though.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned Precious came back, 19 minutes. I mean, it's really hard to look at a box score when the team gets blown out like this. He was 1 of 5, 2 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, aside from Precious, was there anything stood out to you in terms of any of the players on the Raptors in that game?
Yeah, I mean, for Precious, I think he just looked really rusty. But I think the bigger concern is just like he hasn't really shown much of a level in any of the performances we've seen from him so far. I mean, you could chalk all of it to rust if you really wanted to. He picked up an injury in training camp, and then he got re-injured again on the same groin, I believe. And so he's just sort of been out of rhythm. But I think there's like lots of moments, and I think this was captured best when there's a play where him and Dennis Schroeder were standing side by side, like shoulder to shoulder,
in
like
the corner.
yeah, like 5 p.m. on the Bloor train. All right, like they're shoulder to shoulder, and Dennis and Precious shoots the three and airballs it. But I'm not even worried about the airball so much as just sort of like what kind of like thinking goes into the movements that he makes, because I feel like there's not a plan of action for him on the court. Either he's looking for the wrong times to attack, or he's not in the right places to help other people attack in terms of spacing, in terms of screening. That to me, like, I feel like it's maybe a bit of rust in the sense of timing, but in the sense that he's lost a lot of the time.
I also think that, particularly this year and this training camp could be difficult because his role is one of the roles that's changing a lot versus last year, right? Like, he's the guy in that second unit that is expected to engage in some of the Jakob Poeltl stuff, some of the high post stuff, some of the DHO stuff. And I know he had 5 assists, but he also had a handful of times where if he rejects the
5 assists?
Yeah, he had 5 assists in that game.
No way.
He's dropping dimes, brother.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, if we think of the DHO more like an RPO, like a run pass option, like when he keeps it on a keeper, the idea there is you see something in the defense that either the handoff's not safe, and that's one thing, or you see something you can attack, but you're supposed to know what the next step is.
Yeah.
And there were a handful of times where he keeps it because, the guy's too tight coming over the screen, or there's just not anything there or whatever, but then everything slows down again, and it's kind of a hold it up here, just rerun the high post thing. And when you missed a big chunk of camp and, 4 or 5 games where the Raptors were slowly starting to figure things out in the half-court offense, obviously this was a big step backward. But I do think that Precious in particular will be susceptible to that level of rust and discomfort in the offense, given what his role is and how it's changing from last year.
Yeah, and I guess the big thing that came out of the game was towards the end of the game when, the game was decided and Joe Mazzulla decided to use a coach's challenge.
He broke the code.
He broke the code.
He broke the code.
And it kind of made everybody angry, and that was a huge talking point after the game. Darko Rajakovic was asked about it. The coach's challenge was used while the Celtics was up 27 with 3:39 left in the game. Darko, took the high road post game and said no comment, even though he was visibly upset.
That's not really the high road, I feel like.
You don't think so? Which road do you think it is?
That's like you just pulled over on
like
the side
the
of
HOV lane type. He took the HOV lane.
He threw up the rock
and sped by. Yeah. Dennis Schroeder was asked about it. He said, quote, "Up 30, you're not supposed to challenge nothing. You won. It's 3 minutes left. You shouldn't disrespect us like that." Put that on the rundown for Dennis this week.
Oh, it's on the rundown already.
Perfect. Yeah. Oh, I guess you do your job. And then Joe Mazzulla was asked about it. And he said he doesn't agree or disagree with the Raptors thinking that it was disrespectful, and said that he has a responsibility to his players. He said, quote, "It was a clear opportunity to empower my players and let them know that I'm coaching you." So he's looking at Sam Hauser. He said, "I see you, bro. I see you. I'm there for you." What did you make of Joe Mazzulla's response to this?
When you phrase it like that, I can't be against empowerment, can I now? Oh, wow. Okay. I guess I'm against empowerment.
Oops.
No, listen, it doesn't bother me all that much, but I do think that.
Were you upset in the moment?
I'm only upset because it's Saturday night and it burned another 5 minutes off the day. I'm like, yeah, listen, this game about to wrap up. I'm going to do a reaction pod. It'll be quick. And then I'm done at 10 p.m. And whatever. I had nothing to do. I was already home anyway. So wasn't going to change too much. But, still it was all right, what is this ultimately tangibly going to change? I didn't feel like there was a huge conversation with the referees either, so it wasn't like he was trying to stick it to them. So maybe he really was just trying to exercise some sort of show of support. In any case, when you're up that much, you have pretty much whatever you could do whatever you want in that kind of instance. But this kind of stuff does happen on a regular basis. I remember a few years ago, and the story was told excellently by Jeff Teague in his podcast. If you haven't seen that already, listen to Jeff Teague.
What did he say? I'm a bum. I'm a bum.
No, not this time. But You remember there was a game where the Raptors lost to the Pacers in 2017 in Indiana. And at the end of the game was already decided. Lance Stevenson goes in for a layup.
Oh, this is when PJ and DeMar got mad.
And then PJ and DeMar like legitimately like beeline to him, like got in his face and everything.
Okay.
And yeah, like actually the Jeff Teague retelling of the story is very, very good. But there's that instance. There's another play where OG Anunoby stole a ball late in the game against Milwaukee, I think maybe, or no, Atlanta. This is actually when Dennis was on the Hawks, I believe. And OG stole the ball and dunked it against Atlanta in the game when the Raptors already had won in the last minute. And then there was a whole thing where Mike Budenholzer was trying to yell at OG Anunoby. Then Dwayne Casey came to yell at Mike Budenholzer, told him, don't yell at my guy. So there is a bit of like a code at the end of the game. It's just sort of like, all right, let's run out the clock. No hard fouls. Like, let's try to knock any stoppages. So, like, I mean, whatever. Like, I think the Raptors have a case to be salty, but at the same time, the bigger thing is they were down 27 and were never competitive.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly an element of if you don't like it, pitch better, right? Like, don't be down 27, and there won't be a scenario where you're down 27. If you're Joe Mazzulla, I think you have to think WWBAITTD, and that's obviously that's what would Ben Affleck in The Town do.
Oh,
God. Look, this is more of a Jeremy Renner move than a Ben Affleck move, I think. Jeremy Renner would, taunt the cops as you're leaving the bank heist or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think, he's trying to be Ben Affleck, but he was a little more Jeremy Renner in that situation. The Raptors just don't have really a leg to complain. Like, it's also like a snap thing. Like, you see it didn't go off of your guy. Okay, challenge it. The weirdest thing is, like, in terms of, like, the delay of it, is like, that would have been the quickest challenge of all time if the Raptors hadn't like gone and complained about it. So it ended up dragging it out even further. I get where they're coming from, but don't be down 27 and it won't come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By
So
the way, for people who don't get that reference, what did Joe Mazzulla said like in the playoffs last year that he watched The Town every week? Or maybe
I
3 to
think
4
even
times a
more
week?
than that.
It was like 3 to 4 times a week he would watch The Town.
He's got a bad coach and he
four
got bad
times a
movie
week.
taste.
4 times a week he watches
4
it.
times a week.
I mean, you can't hate.
What's the runtime on The Town?
2 hours.
Got to be
at
2
least.
hours plus.
Yeah.
I think it's a longer one. 2 hours and 4 minutes.
2 hours and 4 minutes. Wow.
I mean,
he's probably watching the DVD extras and stuff too, though. If you like The Town enough to watch it 4 times in a week,
he runs the DVD commentary version, deleted scenes.
Yeah. Well, that's like Coach's film room, right? You get the director's cut and the director commentary. That's like Coach film session.
No, we're gonna make it through this segment. You can't say anything because your favorite movie is Hitch. What's your favorite? Blake, what's your favorite movie? We've never asked you, and I apologize for that.
Hitch runs an hour 58 too. That's a long rom-com.
Blake's saying Hitch needed an editor.
There was like maybe like 10 minutes in the third act, maybe the fourth act that didn't need to be in there. But regardless, I enjoyed all of it.
Blake, favorite movie? Not to put you on the spot.
I don't really know.
You don't have one. Like
Not
that?
one that comes to mind like off the top.
Not one in your heart.
Yeah, I mean like when I was
Notebook.
No, like Can't Hardly Wait is like a teen kind of coming of age rom-com from when I was that age. It has like the best soundtrack of all time and like tons of like pop punk references, and like everyone in that movie went on to be like a big actor.
Yeah.
This
is like the 2012 Thunder.
Yeah,
like
there
me
are
if I
like
picked Juno.
there are all these bit actors. So like big picture, that's probably
I like that.
the one that I've liked the most over the years. But
I spent $40 on a Rush Hour 2 VHS tape.
I don't
weekend.
I don't have strong film takes. I saw The Killer on the weekend.
Oh, David Fincher?
Yeah.
Big fan. I watched it at TIFF last week. I actually watched it in theater.
I
and
love
then realized it was on Netflix already.
I love a movie where part of the guy's character is just I'm going to listen to the Smiths every scene
while I am a assassin.
Yeah, no spoilers, but that guy loves Morrissey.
Yeah. Anyways,
What? All right,
William,
it's all good.
want to ask you guys more about unwritten rules. So since we talked about the coaches challenge, what do you guys think about like people always get mad end of games when it's a blowout and the guy's going in for like a dunk that's unnecessary? Do you think that's unsportsmanlike?
So I think what's funny is in basketball there isn't like the mechanism to like enforce the unwritten rules.
You can't hit the next batter with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
Mean. In baseball, you just throw out the next guy, right? And then the base is clear, whatever, all that kind of stuff. In hockey, Nick Kyrgios comes in and drops the glove.
Very company-specific reference.
Leafs got in a bunch of fights on Saturday and got the instigator penalty a couple of times too. They're taking a little of that Kipper grit and applying it.
Do you want me to go grab Kipper for this segment right now?
Upstairs in a very dapper suit. You will see him from 4 to 6 p.m. in this exact seat later. But like, yeah, there are other sort of mechanisms, or even in football, I suppose. Like, I guess I don't watch enough football. What do you do if someone breaks the rules in football like that? Like,
You just fight, like they empty the benches.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know. Like there are the big thing would be if you take liberties with a quarterback.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
the NFL has such strict penalties for doing that already. Like it's
Right.
an automatic first down and 15-yard penalty,
Yeah.
and you can get like
I've seen the Chiefs game.
yeah, like they protect the quarterbacks pretty
This
well.
guy's the Eras Tour.
Also, like football has so many like unwritten, not even unwritten dirty things that are going on.
Yeah,
like
right,
in
right.
the pileups and stuff like that. That I think it's just like pretty lawless, and like once you're
Right.
outside of the
Yeah.
lines, it's like whatever.
Yeah, and like in soccer, for example, like you do something to an opposing star player, the next time you have the ball, someone probably slide tackles you from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and tries to take out
Like
your
you're gonna
Achilles.
pay for it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you're gonna
exactly.
pay
Roy
for
Keane's
it.
gonna come in and protect, David Beckham. You know what I mean? That kind of
Yeah.
situation.
And the only NBA version is like a hard foul, but we're talking about an
Yeah.
instance where it's at the end of the game. Like
That's what I mean.
even in the Warriors game the last night, late, Chris Paul like dives for a loose ball and like leans into a guy's knee.
Oh, I saw
rolled
that.
into
That was
Mike
dangerous.
Conley's knee.
Mike Conley,
of
that's who
all
it was.
people, really. Mike Conley's
Yeah.
like the ultimate NBA
That
gentleman.
was very
Like,
dangerous.
what the hell are we
Yeah.
doing here?
On top of which, like Towns is like getting taken down with an arm bar in the background of that highlight.
Probably by Draymond. Honestly, Chris Paul and Draymond are disgusting brothers.
Yeah.
man.
Where-
Draymond seems like he got some angst built up. I'm calling a suspension
Where's
coming
Kelly
soon.
Olynyk? You need to get him in there.
Oh.
So my take on the actual basketball unwritten rules is like, one, if the shot clock is off, you don't do anything.
It's a wrap.
Like, so the
Yeah.
Celtics
Yeah.
dribbled out a possession at the end of that game with the shot clock on. They just took a
Yeah.
turnover because
Yeah.
it wasn't worth it. But I think if they had jacked up a three or something like that, it's fine because the shot
I
clock's
don't
going to go
really
off. So shot clock off. And then I think if you're on the road, you don't dunk is probably where so say the shot clock's on
Yeah.
and you get a breakaway or something like that.
Yeah.
If you're on the road, you lay it up. If you're at home, you can get away with a dunk because it's for your crowd. But if you're
Okay.
in the other team's barn, then it's probably like I'm not saying I'm
we
not
in
saying-
Indiana.
I'm not saying that's what I think. I think that's where the unwritten, like
Okay,
in
yeah,
my
yeah.
history.
No,
of
I like
watching
I like the
basketball,
divide of that. I
Yeah.
like the divide of the home.
Like I
Yeah.
think a team getting embarrassed at home
Yeah.
would take more issue with you dunking at the end of a game than if you were on your own home court and just doing something for the fans.
yeah.
Interesting. I never thought about it that way.
What if on the flip side, you're the team that's down 27 and the winning team has given up and you go in for a dunk
Actually,
just to get some stats.
This is
off.
going to come up in our Washington Wizards knucklehead segment in
Oh my God.
hour two.
I'm
We do have
actually,
a
I'm
bonehead
actually going to
draft.
take it back to that Warriors game last night.
Okay, yeah.
Brandon Podziemski, their first
what?
round pick,
Yeah.
Okay.
he played 76 seconds at the end of that game in garbage time and got 5 shots up.
Yeah. That's respect.
I think
Wow.
in that if you're
Yeah.
on the losing side, you can get your shots up. It
Yeah.
doesn't.
Especially if like people may have not like heard of you. Like if the
you
guy
you didn't hear of Brandon Pajemski?
Yeah. So
like if Jalen McDaniels had put up a shot in that scenario, like again, if the shot clock's off, the shot clock's off. You just
Yeah.
end it there. But had he, jacked up a 3 with like 25 seconds left or something like that, I think everyone would understand. He's got to get that
Yeah.
points per game up above 1, and
yeah.
you got to take your opportunities.
I do think, though, in general, the unwritten rules are a little bit lame. I'm not going to lie to you. Like,
Yeah.
To me, like, this is just my personal opinion. Like, I'm not anywhere near, like, these athletes in terms of, like, how much they put into it, how emotional
Sure.
these games are. And I'm obviously
You're
never played
more
in front of-
emotional than them, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, sure, I guess. But, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not really a saving face element. Like, I think you've
Yeah.
lost face once you've been down 27. So,
Yeah,
I
like
hate
it
to
does,
take the
you're saying it
Celtics
doesn't
side,
matter. Like it doesn't matter
It
once
just-
you've gotten blown
Yeah,
out.
like I said earlier, like that being the most resistance the Raptors showed all game is
Right.
the issue here,
Well,
not the Celtics making a
It's
challenge.
Nice little rivalry, build it up for this Friday.
Well,
I don't know that the Raptors have won enough in this battle the
Yeah.
last couple years for it
It's
to
been
still
tough.
Well,
be. And like somehow we've never got it in the playoffs, which feels weird.
No, we did.
Just
in-
a bubble.
in the
Oh,
bubble.
right,
Just the bubble.
In the
doesn't
bubble.
count.
My goodness, that
Yeah.
was a struggle.
Jeez, they did
Uh,
play in the bubble.
No, we're all trying to forget the bubble. I was
And they played Brooklyn too, right?
yeah,
Well, the
yeah.
Brooklyn Nets, yeah.
Swept Chris Chioza. I remember
The 100-point, the
I made
100
so
point
many
bench game.
Gioza jokes.
I was eating gyoza while they were playing Chioza. No, I was actually thinking about that bubble series. We're gonna make it through this segment, boys. We
I know,
did it.
I can see you trying to burn time.
I was thinking about the Celtics series. I remember after they won Game 7, Tatum was like, "Man, there's a bunch of dogs over there on that team. We have gone from a bunch of dogs to no dogs."
Well, we had that.
So we
had
got to
that-
build it back up.
I'd like Thad Young coming over to like not confront, just talk to Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah.
There was like a screen grab on them, and then someone pointed out the fact that Thad Young is 9 days older than Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah, we need a vet. How's Thad Young the vet in every situation?
He a vet to the coach. I never seen a guy be a vet to a coach, man.
Joe Mazzulla's 35.
Yo.
Yeah? Wait,
Yeah.
that means Thad's only 35?
Should we rebrand Joe Mazzulla as a real successful
Wait, does that
person?
mean we have 2 players older than the Celtics coach? Because Garrett Temple's I
Temple,
think
too,
37.
right?
Joe Mazzulla was in
Wow.
the 2011 NBA draft, and now he's been a head coach for multiple years.
What team was he on in the NBA?
He never
made it?
never made it to the NBA as a player,
Okay.
but that's when he came out of he was at WVU
Okay,
and,
yeah,
and
West
came
Virginia,
out.
okay.
But then he joined he went right to coaching college ball.
Yeah.
Right.
Couple of other side quests, and then we're there. So speaking of the Celtics, yeah, what's up?
No,
Something else?
I didn't expect it to be a we gotta fill
I
segment.
guess
like,
we just didn't want to talk about the game at
Yeah,
all. Like,
which
what
is-
was there to say?
which
Like,
is
we
fair,
suck.
I guess.
It's hard
suck.
when they get blown out.
Well,
Like especially
yeah,
against
topics-wise.
especially against a familiar opponent too. It's like we know Boston.
and
know
we've had
Toronto.
a day to sit with it all.
Yeah, don't worry. That's what I'm here for. So we were talking about the Celtics Raptors playing this Friday, which will be, correct me if I'm wrong, but like that's the in-season tournament game.
That
right?
is the first in-season tournament game for the Raptors. The Raptors will be the last of the 30 teams to play
Wow.
an in-season
wow.
tournament
Get
game.
Adam Silver on the program. I want to talk to him about this.
Yeah.
So
This is the sales job on this one, though, is that the Raptors were like, they didn't want to show their hand. They weren't going full speed because they want to catch the Celtics
We
napping
wanna
on
show our
Friday.
hand.
Yeah, you told
Yeah.
me this was the in-season, like preseason.
Yeah,
like,
this was the
warm-up.
in-season. It's like if you're playing a game 82 against a team you're about to play in the playoffs, you don't want to show them anything. You don't want them to learn your sets and your rotations.
I like
So
that.
you dog it a little bit. That's what's going on here. So the Raptors can get that in-season W on
We're
Friday.
playing the long game.
Yeah, so
All right.
per Steve Bulpett of one of our favorite sites, Heavy.
Heavy.com?
Yeah, Heavy, who was heavy on the Fred VanVleet quotes last season. The Celtics actually, so on Friday, they played the Nets before they played the Raptors, and that was an in-season tournament game. They actually asked the league if the center strip of their in-season tournament court could be painted in a parquet pattern, and the request was denied. So I don't know if you guys know, on Friday, when the Celtics played the Nets, it marked the first time they played without parquet on Causeway Street.
Really?
Yeah, so the parquet streak is over, boys.
That's actually kind of lame to me. Like, why didn't
What?
the league try to extend this?
What's a must-have for you guys if you got to design the Raptors in-season tournament court? Like, what do you want on
Oh,
there?
you know what I want back?
Yeah. Oh god.
Remember that year where we had that like 2-dimensional / it was 3D on the broadcast?
Oh, the ads, the 3D
The little
sideline ads.
Yeah. So
okay.
it would look like it's like a standing ad on the broadcast,
Mm.
but when you stood on the court, it's literally just a court. It's
This
flat.
guy wants to see Kalani jewelry in 3D.
I do. Yeah. No,
I got
seriously.
you.
Because
I
wasn't
got
there where players were kind of like run over or jump over?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something
It was like a
that?
weird thing.
Yeah. Bring that back.
Okay.
Bring
Okay.
that back.
Yeah, Blake. Any
I don't-
suggestions? Any design?
Just like
suggestions?
what I would want on the in-season
Yeah,
court.
if you could design, if we could get Adam Silver on here and talk to him about it.
Just for the Raptors? Or
Yeah,
league-wide?
Raptors,
Okay.
Raptors.
I got
design.
a second idea if you want some time to think
I
about it.
want Kawhi's footprints where the shot
that was
happened
my
like
idea.
permanently
Yes.
there.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like I know they did the cool thing with like the
No,
Raptor
but it should be
clause there.
permanent.
I want it permanent,
Yeah.
yeah. Or at least for like in-season tournament games. Then it's like this is the most historic shot
Yeah.
in Raptors history, and it's
I like that.
it's funny how like this is going to go down. Where like that was the second round and the Raptors won the championship, but that is still like that feels like the moment that equals championship. Like it, the way it kind of blends. Anyway, yeah,
That was the paradigm shift.
I want the footprints
All right.
down.
I
Well,
want
'cause-
Iguodala.
Because Dirk definitely had like on the Mavs court, they just typically
Oh, they
regularly
did.
have Dirk's like fadeaway
Yeah.
logo. It's not even a logo, I suppose. It's just a silhouette, but it
Yeah,
kind of looks
the
like an
one
NBA
leg.
logo. Yeah,
We should. Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
have it on the court.
Another segment idea is to brainstorm all 30. What's the most iconic shots for who's like? What's the Hornets gonna do? What's their most iconic shot?
Jeremy Lamb back-to-back game winners against Toronto.
Michael Jordan sitting courtside in extremely wide jeans.
Yeah. They just have a silhouette of him. Lastly,
Yeah.
you know, we always joke about certain teams like the Celtics, Pacers, Utah,
Oh man, this research.
having Caucasian players
Oh boy.
on their roster.
Yeah.
And so I decided, you know, this is like a joke people make. You know, you always say they have what, Sterling Cooper, Draper Price, like coming off the bench, or
Kinda
Boy
do.
Genius, or whatever this is.
Yeah, this year I'm calling it the Boy Genius.
Yeah.
lineup.
So this year, I believe the main cast of Boy Genius for them is Payne Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Luke Cornett.
well,
so-
you're missing a couple there.
Who am I missing?
Svi.
Oh,
Svi
yeah.
Mykhailiuk.
Okay, so I
I
didn't
don't
go.
know if I could trust your research if you don't. I, mean,
I didn't
come
go
on now.
9. Like I only went like 9 deep here. I'm
Okay,
trying to respect
wow.
the minutes distribution.
Okay.
But anyways, I wanted to know, for people like us who've watched the Celtics for say the last 20 years, has this always been a trend? And it has been.
Okay.
Here are some of the players in the last 20 years, all spread throughout, who you've seen come off the bench. Mike Muscala, Gordon Hayward came off the bench for one season, coming back from injury.
You got to read this list just
No,
straight
Aaron
down because
Baines,
this is really impressive.
Daniel Tice, Kelly Olynyk, Jonas Jerebko, Tyler Zeller, Darko Milicic, Shavlik Randolph, Greg Steamsma, Sasha Pavlovich, Troy Murphy, Luke Herringoti?
Oh, yeah.
Luke Herringoti.
Did I pronounce his name right?
I don't think you did.
Brian Scalabrine, Scott Pollard, Wally Zerbiak, which you have a jersey of. My guy Dan Dickow. He
Yep.
should retire his jersey. Tom Gugliotta, Yuri Welch, Chris Mim, Rafe LaFrance. So for the last 20 years, they've always had at least one Caucasian come off the bench, basically.
This is a real legacy.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is also the case with the Indiana Pacers, because I feel like the Pacers also low-key have this going.
Give me one single day. I will report back
All right, 'cause
tomorrow.
I know T.J. McConnell's there, and he's been holding it down for a couple of years. But
Yeah.
like long before that, they had
But certain teams do have a certain demographic. Is all
Jeff
I'm saying.
Foster.
I don't have a trend for this. Like, I don't know the long term, but
Yeah.
based on 2021 data,
Yeah.
17% of players in the league were white, so you would expect 3 on average on a roster.
Oh,
Okay.
damn.
All right.
Damn.
Maybe we
I'm
can do
white,
this for the
you know?
Raptors roster.
I'm
too.
white. WHIT.
Stats
We have a
Murphy.
drop for this?
You white, you Ben Affleck.
Side note, in my research, I also noticed the Celtics just have had a lot of players with color as their last name.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Jeff Green, Vander Blue, DJ White, and Gerald Green. So that's
No,
what I got for you
I'm
guys.
telling
today.
you, like, this is the most research I've seen Alex put into any segment, man. He has it listed by year as well, man.
I had so much fun yesterday.
Unbelievable. stuff.
What is that thing where people you visualize colors with things, synesthesiac or something like that?
Okay.
Synesthesia,
Someone in the Celtics front office is a synesthesiac, and it's just like
Yeah.
the people whose name match a color float to the top of their list because they're like, oh, Jaylen Brown, Vander Blue. Like, it's
Vander Blue is amazing, man.
it's a good name.
There's no way you can't tell me they didn't just get Vanderblue just for this. Man.
They had Von Wafer too, another great name. All right, to wrap up the segment, main takeaways from this 4-game road trip. So Raptors go 2-2
Sure.
on this trip. They lose to Philly and Boston, who are the 2 best teams in the East. Obviously beat the Spurs and the Mavs. Any main takeaways from you just watching this Raptors team over the last week and a half, 2 weeks on this trip?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the 2 games in Dallas were probably the 2 best games of the year. The comeback in San Antonio was awesome, and then following that up with a pretty thorough game where they led for a lot of it in the second half against Dallas was also really fun to watch. I mean, I think Boston is a really bad matchup, and I think Philadelphia is a really bad matchup. They're also the 2 clearly best teams in the conference, as you said, and
They're 1-2 in the league in net rating right now.
yeah, no, they're washing teams, man. I was watching Sixers Pacers yesterday because that's what I do on Sunday nights. No NFL for me. I'm watching. Give me.
Give you a 50
Pacers.
piece from Maxi?
Yo, honestly, that game was awesome to watch, man. The offensive execution for both sides was really great, but Sixers
What about the defensive execution?
I was the Pacers, so I didn't expect any. But no, seriously, to see the level that Philadelphia was able to hit offensively, the fact that they have so many guys flowing for them, Tobias Harris having a really nice game, just season for them overall.
You've
as
been
the third
gassing him up
option.
a lot. I guess
I'm
he's
telling
been
you, every
great.
game I
He's
watch,
playing
I'm
really
really
well.
impressed by
Yeah.
him.
His
Yeah.
numbers are the best they've been since his Clippers days, too.
Yeah. So low key, they're doing really, really well. I watched that one, and then I checked in my other ex, Fred VanVleet, in the Houston Rockets,
Yo,
and they've been doing great
Save
too.
that for segment 2. I got to talk about if the Rockets are.
Oh, okay, all right,
for
but regardless,
reals.
I don't really hold any of those 2 losses against them. We are not on Philadelphia or Boston's level. I would have loved to be more competitive against both those teams, but realistically, we're just not at that point. I think we actually did beat the 2 teams that we're kind of on par with.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think big picture, teams and stats and things like that tend to stabilize around the 20 game mark. But I think through 9 games, we have a pretty good idea of who this team is. They're about a 500 team. They're a game under 500 right now, but they easily could have been 5-4 or maybe even
Right.
6-3. Just as easily could have been 3-6 if the Spurs game goes the other way. And that's kind of what happens with 500 teams. They're 16th in the league in net rating, so they're kind of right there. And like we set up all season, they're a top 10 defense. They're a number 1 transition offense team, and they're back to 30th in half-court offense now. So they're very much who we anticipated. I think within that, they have shown a higher ceiling
Okay.
through the second half of that Spurs game, beating the Timberwolves on opening night, which continues to look better and better. The Wolves are third in net rating, by the way.
Yeah.
So 4 of the Raptors' 9 games have come against the 3 best teams in the league, which is pretty notable when you're trying to extrapolate forward. But I think, they've pretty much been about what I and we expected, but they've flashed a higher ceiling than maybe I anticipated early in the year. And that's pretty exciting because 4-5 is 4-5, but I think you can be pretty optimistic about how that 4-5 came about.
Yeah, and I think, going back to what we said in preseason, the number one reason for optimism this year is going to depend on if Scotty makes the jump. And I think he's making the jump. Unfortunately, he played poorly against the Celtics, but I think every player played poorly against the Celtics.
Yeah.
Low-key, except for Malachi Flynn. I thought Malachi actually did okay. Shout out to Malachi. The resurgence
continues to be rescued.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest runs of that game, it wasn't Malachi's fault, but it was the OG Scotty and bench lineup, just like there was also in the second half, they had a lineup where OG was the number one offensive creator on the floor with a bench unit. And I love OG, but probably shouldn't be the number one offensive player in a unit.
It's okay. We're going to flush that game and we're going to revisit that horror once again on Friday. But we're going to take a break. I've been your host, Will Lou. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Welcome back to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wayne Lou. Continue to be joined by Blake and Alex. Blake is running point for the first hour here, so I'm going to hand him the ball.
I am?
I am.
Alex is running point. Sorry. I really got to read the rundown.
Someone's not focused.
I was going to say, I was not familiar with this next segment until this weekend when I checked the doc and had to bring myself up to speed.
Yeah, so I'm trying to see what's the easiest way to do this. Okay, so last week, Action Bronson, New York rapper, was a guest on Pablo Torre's podcast. And one of the segments was, there's an account on Twitter, which I believe is run by someone on NBA Twitter, because they pull a lot from NBA reporters, called Accidental Bronson, which is an account that curates tweets which read just like Action Bronson lyrics. For those not familiar with Action Bronson, his lyrics are very imaginative, descriptive. He's got a lot of food references in there, kind of outlandish stuff.
And a lot of it doesn't quite rhyme, but the delivery helps it rhyme.
Yeah.
Like Wisconsin Mansion back in the T-Pain days.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some of his lyrics, include all I do is eat oysters and speak 6 languages and 3 voices. He's also said suicidal doors, bipolar necklaces, army suit matching this coupe because we perfectionists. Seasons change weekly, life in the big leagues. I can tell it's summer by the fig trees. And then he also said, lace the swordfish with the garlic cream and the lemon basil caper dill, play the street for real.
I made that last week.
Linguini linguistics that left my verbal lesson saucy. Send a message, leave you sleeping next to headless horsey. So anyways, I'm glad I made it through. Yeah, I'm glad I made it through.
Godfather 2 reference.
Yeah.
So some of these examples on Accidental Bronson, here's a random tweet that they pulled. Someone said, doing bicep curls with a hydro flask on the Q train. Is it one? One is playing Kingdom Hearts 2 in a 2007 Nissan Skyline.
What's this, the next episode of Pimp My Ride?
And then there's I'm in Paris sipping Naruto beverages.
Beverages.
And then
So
there's
funny.
I'm butt naked in bed right now, nothing but my gold chain on, eating a bowl of Raisin Bran. Life is good. So Action Bronson was made to read a bunch of these. And here's one of Will Lou's tweets that got read. Here's the clip.
12 a.m. on the Amalfi Coast watching the Raptors playing preseason in Edmonton. Hard. Why are they playing in Edmonton? And it's preseason. There's different depths. There's things that add character to it.
Absolutely.
So yes,
absolutely.
for sure.
So Will, explain your reaction to this and also explain the tweet, because I know you remember
Yes.
I
this.
think everyone knows the
Oh,
the
he's got some
tweet.
details, though.
Okay.
He's got some details.
Yeah. So my reaction is we finished the show on Friday, and Action Bronson was on Pablo Torre Finds Out on Friday's episode, and they shared that little social clip. And all of a sudden, I got a lot of messages on Twitter, and I'm like, I didn't tweet anything on Twitter on Friday. All we did was answer some messages and go home. It was chill. And so I realized this is something that actually happened. I didn't know that was already shared by that account in the past before I guess Pablo and his producers picked that to be read in the segment. But Yeah, my thinking behind it was just like, well, to answer Action Bronson's question, Canada, like the Raptors play preseason games all over Canada to sort of like I guess increase like our popularity across the country. It's also one of the only times that different cities outside of Toronto get to see the Raptors play at home. One of the only opportunities to do so. So there's that aspect. I think the bigger question is what was I doing watching the Raptors play preseason on the Amalfi Coast at 12 a.m. in Italy, which it's because I'm a sicko. I think people on this show understand that, but I think to him it was more absurd, and maybe to the general person it was absurd.
This was last preseason, right?
This was last preseason. It was the first preseason game.
Okay.
And I had said, because we were pod only at that time. We we weren't doing the daily show. We weren't in studio or whatever. But as I like to do, I like to squeeze in like one vacation, like essentially right after media day or whatever. So last year went to Italy. And so I turned the podcast over to Alex, and that's I think Alex had James Herbert on, and I think he previewed the whole season or something like that. He like literally gave like a 82 game prediction one by one of like what would hypothetically happen. But I did take my microphone with me. Like out of all the things that I packed, I did pack a small microphone just in case I had the time to watch some Raptors preseason action.
I have to ask.
Yeah.
Was it like known by your partner that you were packing the microphone, or did you sneak it in?
No, so I told her, I was like, look, I'm not really going to record. And she's like, you probably will.
You're not bringing the microphone to not record.
So she was understanding. Yeah.
No, and it just so happened that day we got to our Airbnb like probably like 11:30 p.m. So I checked in and there was not much else to do other than watch the Raptors play preseason in Edmonton, which means that like so the game started 12 a.m. local time there. And first off, watching it was difficult. I had to get a VPN to watch it on the NBA app. Of subscriptions I already had, I tried Sportsnet or it just wasn't working, I guess, over there. I think it's a Canada-only thing. And so actually accessing the game was difficult. I had to use a VPN service to even get to that game. And then, I think the game was obviously 2.5 hours as it typically is. And then the Rack Pod was 35 minutes. So at minimum, I went to sleep at 3 a.m. just because of this, insane dedication, I would say, to doing React Pods.
Yeah, that's a lot. I've watched NBA Finals games in Europe, like once the Raptors are knocked out and I'm traveling, but that's an NBA Finals game. That's KD winning another Finals MVP. The preseason is quite a bit.
This ain't Raptors Jazz, where the 3 stars were Precious Achiuwa, first star, I believe Chris Boucher, second star, and then Delano Banton, Malachi Flynn split the third star.
They got to split a prize.
I needed 4 stars to cover this game, apparently.
Yeah, I remember this. If people look up the specific date of that game and go to the Raptor Show account, I was actually bugging Will to send me a photo of him watching this game because he was publicizing the fact that he was on the Amalfi Coast. So there's this like sicko photo of him just like, I think, laying in bed watching
I'm just
the
like
game.
sitting cross-legged on the couch and I just have the microphone in my hand. Like I don't even have like a mic stand or anything. No headphones. Just
Derek, can we hear that start of that clip again of just Action Bronson reading Will's tweet?
12 a.m. on the Amalfi Coast, watching the Raptors playing preseason in Edmonton.
Hard.
Okay, Alex, I have to ask you.
Hard.
Hard. So this only happened on Pablo's podcast on Friday?
I think so, yeah.
It was on Friday.
Because you have had this topic in the doc since the first show of the season.
This is what you guys don't realize, because I'm actually a huge fan of the Accidental Bronson account.
Okay.
And I'm a huge fan of Action Bronson.
Right.
I told you, I hung out with Action Bronson in New York back in 2016. We did a story, all this stuff.
Read it in GQ.
So I'm super jealous because Bronson legit like my favorite post like 2008 like rapper.
He's still keeping New York rap alive.
And I've followed Accidental Bronson for a long time because like I feel like sometimes my tweets kind of fall into that lane too.
Oh. So you were trying to get put on, is what you're telling me.
Man, I was trying to get put on, but once again, I got to be the second agent. So yeah, what's up?
I was finish your thought. I have it's just a second Action Bronson thing on.
Hit me.
Okay, so you remember you're like an older wrestling fan, not current. You remember Taz?
Yes.
So he has a son now who wrestles.
Yeah.
And Action Bronson does his theme that he walks out to.
That's amazing. So I actually pulled up. I was trying to go through like other Toronto media accounts to see if anybody else got that Action Bronson vibe. And you guys will be shocked to find that I landed on Louis Zatzman.
Oh,
No.
So let me try a
he's a
couple
bit
of
of a
these.
poet.
What are the odds Louis Zatzman knows who Action Bronson is?
Come on.
So okay, you guys got to
knows?
get into the space where you have to pretend Action Bronson's saying these. Okay, so
Can you do the voice? Can you do the
No,
Action Bronson voice?
Hard.
yo, so Louis Zatzman, it's plot C or something, but I feel like this has been Darko's coming out game. Crisp
Hard.
late game stuff, gritty, gutsy rotations, clever defensive ideas. So that's my
Yeah.
first one.
Okay, all right.
OG Anunoby just had maybe the smoothest self-creation 2 I've ever seen. Lil get action, drive, drag, step, hanging left. Man, that was slick.
Okay,
Hard.
so
Hard.
both of these, I would say, if you drop the first part,
Yeah.
like the descriptive second
Yeah.
part of each tweet is
Yeah.
really Bronson-y.
Yeah.
But
And then,
I don't think,
and then the last one, Toronto just ran Malachi Flynn in the Fred VanVleet ghost screener to slip to 3 spot in the 4-1 pick and roll with Siakam. Money. No.
No, not hard.
None of these.
Soft.
Yo, these are bars though, man. It's got the wordplay. It's super descriptive.
Which one of your tweets do you think could have actually ended up on
you got to go back when I was wilding out on Twitter a little bit. So I got to find those. But
Otto Porter Jr. lockdown defense in overtime.
There's
respect.
different depths. There's things that add character to it.
Yeah, that's right.
No, that was a great tweet, and that was a very Action Bronson
Yeah.
tweet.
All
So we got to find out who Accidental Bronson is because he's pulled tweets from like Dan Devine, like NBA guys. So it's definitely within the NBA circle.
yeah.
Got you.
If that person is listening to this,
I'm
come
saying
on the
it's-
show. We will let you hide your identity on Zoom. We'll pixelate
Yeah.
it and we'll mask your
I
voice.
feel like it's Jared Dubin. Didn't Jared do? He did like a Parks and Recreation parody account way back. It was like Parks and Recreation NBA. Actually,
Yeah.
I really want to find out, but yeah, there we go, man.
Do you guys have burner accounts, by the way?
No.
Raptor Show is my burner account.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, I don't even use Raptor Show. No, I do for work. Yeah. So no, I guess. Anyways.
All right.
Hard.
We're gonna get so much use out of that. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about around the NBA.
All right, let's do it.
So the big news, unfortunate news that came out of the weekend was Sixers forward Kelly Oubre Jr. Was in a car accident, basically struck by a vehicle in Philadelphia, suffered significant injuries. I believe it was reported, was it broken / fractured ribs? Yeah, broken ribs. Bruises and cuts. He went to the hospital. He's been released since, expected to miss some significant time. I think he's being reevaluated in a week. Yeah, I know around the NBA yesterday, like Steve Kerr, Rick Carlisle, a lot of people, obviously, said something about Oubre pregame, just wishing him, sending them, their best wishes. But yeah, just a scary incident, man.
Yeah. Also, it was a hit and run. Like, I don't.
Right,
They
the-
actually
the-
don't
yeah,
know who
the-
did this.
yeah,
like,
yeah,
the person literally
The car drove off.
Like, that's
Yeah.
such a jerk move.
And the Sixers are apparently going to visit him today after practice to just like
Wow.
they're at home,
Right,
And they'll
right.
go check in on him.
It
Yeah.
sucks because he's having like an amazing start to the year. Obviously, Philadelphia's having a great start to the year, but he's been a big part of that. I mean, like anytime you sign anybody to the minimum, like you just never know, especially when you sign them late in the season. Obviously, Philadelphia's moves in the offseason were like really delayed by James Harden and the decision there. But yeah, he seems to be really well. He's hit the ground running. He's been a part of the winning already over there, and yeah, I just feel bad for him. But I think it was really impressive that Philadelphia didn't even miss a beat, though. Like they just continue to really, really play great. And I think on the overall, once he comes back and returns to this team, I think that it's going to just give Philadelphia this like core of like really versatile wing players who can do a lot of what Nick likes to do in his schemes. Like the fact that they got a Nick Batum, the fact that they got a Robert Covington who actually came in yesterday and played in Kelly's spot. Those guys are actually going to really help execute a lot of what Nick likes to do with his disruptions. So I honestly like Nick is like either 1 or 2 with Ime Udoka for coach of the year if we're going through like
this is Nicky Nurse, baby.
Yeah, these are Nicky Nurse players, you know what I mean? And so they're doing a great job over there. Philadelphia's been excellent.
Yeah, they have. And I mean, Maxey credited his 50-point game to Kelly Oubre because that's what you do in those situations. But it's pretty clear that like he's been a good like culture and room fit for them as well. And obviously, there was some weirdness around his free agency with him ending up being available for a minimum and stuff. But
Yeah, sure.
good fit there. And obviously hope he gets better soon. But yeah, it's the details in the police report are just like I know that this stuff happens and it's only magnified because it's an NBA player, but like a high speed hit someone with your car and drive off is just wild.
It is wild. Watching that game yesterday, and you mentioned that Maxey, broke his previous career high of 44, which came against the Raptors last year, actually, around this time of the year. He had 50 yesterday. I was watching the game and I'm thinking, like, is Maxey like just definitively the second best? They're basically Philadelphia's best guard since Allen Iverson, which was obviously 20 years ago now.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, we probably need to see a little bit more, and I believe it's coming, but before you put him ahead of James Harden, just because like James Harden was fresh off an MVP.
No, that's fair too.
Or I guess 1 year removed from
I don't know,
MVP
man. This
consideration.
level that he's at right now. I mean, I'm not saying he was like better than prime James Harden, like MVP James Harden,
Right,
but
yeah.
the Philadelphia version of James, I think this is much better.
Yeah,
than
that's
that.
fair. I mean, Harden did lead the league in assists with them, though, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah, no, that's
they look more dangerous and more dynamic now.
no,
Definitely.
that is an interesting one. No,
Yeah,
get
I mean-
well soon. Get well soon, Kelly Oubre, and we're gonna have James Herbert join us in the second hour. But let's quickly take a look at the Raptors Wizards game tonight. Time now for Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. Take a chance, guys. The Raptors are 9.5-point favorites tonight at home. OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr. questionable. Wizards on a second night of a back-to-back. My guy, the professional scorer, Danilo Gallinari, is out. DeLon Wright's out with a long-term injury as well. Blake, what you like tonight, man?
Yeah, glad my notes came in handy, by the way.
Stole that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because these are like it's kind of immovable object versus irresistible force or whatever, but the bad way where the Raptors are 27th in offense and 30th in half court offense, but the Wizards are 29th in defense and 29th in half court defense. So this is a Wizards team that can't stop anybody. They give up a ton of corner threes. They're a really good transition offense, but not a good transition defense at all. I don't really know what to make of that over-under up around 230, but the Raptors, unless both OG and Gary Trent are out, and even then should feel pretty confident with the win. I'm not going close to a line that big with two key rotation pieces questionable.
Yeah, when did OG suffer this finger laceration?
I'd imagine at practice yesterday.
Yeah,
Or they wouldn't. If they practiced,
no, because
they didn't
had
have
a
an
pro
open
day yesterday. They were like,
Yeah.
essentially they were off.
Yeah.
or that was optional.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe at home making dinner.
Yeah, wow.
But it's on his shooting hand, so like obviously
That's
I
tough.
know like a cut on your finger doesn't sound that bad, but if you think about how you dribble a ball and how you shoot a ball,
Yeah,
on your dominant hand, it's
Right.
probably not the most comfortable.
well, I mean, OG. The reason I'm asking is because when the Raptors played Washington in preseason, there was the game where
Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole had like 1 of 15 from the field or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's where we got that drop. Producer, you know the drop, the OG Anunoby, Darko Rajakovic drop.
Oh yeah, hard.
I got 3 words. All right, I guess we're not playing the drop. It's okay.
Derek's on commercial break
I-
already.
I-
Reverse for you, OG Anunoby.
There you go. And so, like, he actually think it's pretty important. But I do think that, yeah, the Raptors' main thing here is just their matchups are really good. Like, Washington's, they don't have, like, big wing defenders who I think, can match up with Scotty, can match up with Pascal. You mentioned their transition defense. That's a huge point here. And I also think that, like, watching Washington the last couple of games, they were competitive against Charlotte, but, like, this game yesterday that they played, like, they just completely choked down the stretch. I think, like, Brooklyn went on like a 10-0 run to win the game at the end, and Brooklyn wasn't even playing well. So, yeah, I mean, I know it's a lot of points, and I know that the line is pretty high, but I take the over on the game, and I take the Raptors with the points.
One of the worst rim protecting teams in the league as well. Bottom 3 in opponent field goal percentage, despite your guy, Daniel the Gaffer Gafford, being second in the league in blocks.
Oh god, I gotta see that. Oh yeah, this is when I've seen the Wizards in that damn preseason game. That was Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. Take a chance.
All right, we're going to take a break. I've been your host, Willow. You've been listening to the Raptor Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. When we come back, we're going to reflect on some of the not-so-memorable moments in Washington Wizards franchise history. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Raptor Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wayne Blue. For this segment, I'm joined by co-host Blake Murphy, and we are joined on the line by friend of the program, James Herbert of CBS Sports, who we've also dubbed Games Herbert. Love drafting, playing some games with him, and we'll be doing both of those things on the show today. But James, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I always look forward to coming on and playing these games with you guys. This one is a particularly wacky one, so I'm into it.
Yes. So what we're gonna do, because the Raptors are playing Washington, we are gonna go through what I think is probably like one of the richest topics for bloggers like us.
The canon is deep.
Yes, Washington Wizards blogger canon is super deep. Anybody who's done any of our jobs can attest to the fact that Washington, even though they were never even a 50-win team, basically since like Wes Unseld, I think that's actually a stat that they still haven't won 50 games since Wes Unseld. But even though they were never competitive, never went to the conference finals, they were just so topical for all the off-court and sometimes, honestly, on-court hijinks as well. So
they've been a gold mine for the three of us who have at times had to do some like content aggregation.
Oh yeah.
It's been very, very nice for that.
Yeah, so that's our idea. Because we're playing the Washington Wizards, we're going to go through some not so fabulous bonehead Wizards, essentially. That's the idea.
By the way, that's a crazy stat that they haven't won 50 games in a season. I just looked it up. It's true. Since they had Wes Unseld as a player, and now Wes Unseld Jr. is the coach.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. So I think the streak is almost at 40 years, I believe. I think the last time they did it was like 1968.
1978.
78. Yeah. So we're actually past 40 years. That's unbelievable. Anyway, so as typically what happens in these drafts, if you haven't tuned into these before, we give the guest, in this case James, the first overall pick. I would typically get the second pick, and then Alex would typically be the third person drafting here. But I'm gonna give Blake the second pick. I'll take the third pick in this one because I actually want the most obscure of all out of all of these. So the rules are basically we just are gonna pick Washington Wizards moments, infamous moments. So with the first pick, we are gonna give it to James Herbert. Let's play that Adam Silver drop, please. That's a Steam music.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Fittingly, I'm going to start this with a blog post. And it doesn't come from my favorite Wizards-related blog. Gilbert Arenas, I think, is the best Wizards-affiliated person who has had a blog. This comes from Ted's Take, the blog of owner Ted Leonsis. And in April 2011, the Wizards are 21-56. And Leonsis goes to his blog and he writes, "A new big three has announced its arrival. Wall, Crawford, and Blatch."
No way.
Okay. Yes. Leon just adds, "We are becoming an exciting team to watch. The sun is shining out today. Admit it. It feels good to be Wizards fans watching the rebuild unfold. Yes, I'm so grateful to you all, and I appreciate all of your positive emails." This blog post has since been deleted, guys.
Wow. So how'd you dig it up?
Well, it's on the Wayback Machine, so you can get it there. Also,
Okay.
as you might imagine, a lot of people, you're speaking about blog aggregation. A lot of people aggregated this at the time. Because while he may have been getting some positive emails, the general reaction to this was just kind of confusion.
I mean, you had Andre Blatch, Baby Garnett. How could you not be excited?
No, wait, hold on. Who called him Baby Garnett?
He was called Baby Garnett and some other things. He had he had a bunch of like overhyped nicknames.
No way.
I wonder if they're all. He's probably got a rich basketball reference page.
Well, he also represented the Philippines.
Yes.
Internationally.
According to Basketball Reference, he also had the nickname Bulletproof, which is hilarious given one of the other incidents that's going to come up in this draft.
It is very funny that the Washington Bullets, or the team formerly known as the Washington Bullets, had issues with this. Wow, okay. I was not expecting John Wall, Jordan Crawford, a.k.a. Steezus, and Andre Blatch as the big three, but that is an outlandish suggestion by Ted Leonsis. I also didn't know he ran a blog too, which is pretty sick. Good for blogs.
I wasn't really familiar with your game.
I was not familiar with the blog game back then.
I once watched Jordan Crawford light up Raptors 905, and if you're at a Raptors 905 game, the media seats are right by the Raptors bench. And he, like, at this point is Jordan Crawford in the G League, and I've never seen someone talk so much smack.
Really?
And like letting the bench have it after every shot, and like
who's he even talking to, man? Ronald Roberts Jr.
I mentioned Ronald Roberts Jr. once on this show, and now it's the only 905 guy
That's your man.
that you remember. Yeah,
That's your man. That's your Fred. All right.
Hard.
All right. Second overall pick goes to Blake Murphy, co-host of the Raptors show.
All right. This is what I expected to go first overall, but if we're picking bad Wizards moments,
yeah.
Okay, so on a team flight, they're playing. These Washington Wizards are playing Bourré, which is a game lots of teams play. It's actually where Dennis Schroeder's freeze celebration came from back in the Lakers' time. So subplot to this, and I'm sure these two characters will come up again in this draft. But Nick Young has taken JaVale McGee under his wing and taught him how to play Bourré incorrectly. So JaVale McGee doesn't know how to play. Nick Young's taught him wrong. This is per Nick Young. Nick Young explained this way after the fact.
Okay.
So JaVale's in this game playing wrong. And because of something JaVale does, it ends up that Gilbert Arenas wins an $1,100 hand that Javaris Crittenton thinks that he should have won.
Okay.
And this swells, and Javaris Crittenton says, basically, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to shoot you. And Gilbert Arenas then, after this trip, on Christmas Eve,
I didn't realize
at the
that.
Wizards complex. And this is pieced together through Nick Young's telling, the news reports at the time. Caron Butler's biography has a ton on this.
Sure.
So Gilbert Arenas puts out 4 guns and says, okay, have your choice. What do you want to do about this? So that's obviously very, very bad.
Yeah.
One teammate threatening to shoot the other one, and then Gilbert Arenas pulling out 4 guns. But there are also like trickle down. So Arenas and Crittenton were eventually suspended for the entire season.
Right.
But also, a bunch of the Wizards got fined right after because Arenas started doing finger gun celebrations and in team huddles, like fake shooting his teammates. Nick Young, Andre Blatch, I forget who else. Randy Foy maybe got fined for it too. A bunch of guys got fined. So the Wizards, the players tried to take a very serious, I'm going to shoot you over an $1,100 team flight card game. 2 guys got suspended for the entire season. Half the team got fined for turning it into a joke. This one is just so rich.
Yeah, no, this should have been the number 1 pick, except Ted Leon just had a blog. Sorry. No, but
listen,
yeah.
I want to take something that was more like fun and there are some dark parts of
this is a downer.
Here.
You're
so
right.
I was going to let one of you guys take it.
Yeah, there's certainly some darkness. I mean, obviously, this is not a nice thing to happen anyway. Javaris Crittenton then, once he was out of the league, spent 8+ years in prison after pleading guilty to voluntary manslaughter from a drive-by shooting incident. So there is a darkness that follows from this one. But yeah, if we're picking inglorious Wizards moments,
For sure. Yeah, it is definitely a dark one. But I think so, yeah, for my pick, this is the 3rd pick now. On the theme of Gilbert Arenas, so there is an infamous story where Gilbert Arenas, as a member of the Washington Wizards, he may or may not have pooped in Andre Blatch's shoe. And I mean may or may not because upon doing more research into this, so essentially what happened here was clearly there was a lot of pranks going on in this team back in the day, right? And so one day Andre Blatch comes in and finds that his like suit that he wore to the game was like cut to pieces. Apparently it wasn't Gilbert Arenas who did this, but he's been in so many hijinks. He's kind of the guy that everyone kind of just assumed did it. Or I might be having the story backwards. But so Andre Blatch actually, no, he cut up
Arenas is to have.
You had it right.
Arenas is alleged to have cut up Blatch's suit, changed the name on his jersey to spell the B word, filled his bathtub and poured like instant coffee in it, so his entire bathtub was coffee. There are a number of alleged Arenas to Blatch pranks here.
Yeah,
Arenas said that it was actually Antonio Daniels and Deshaun Stevenson who cut up the suit.
Right.
Go on.
So in any case, Gilbert takes it one step further and like takes Andre Blatch's shoe, takes out the sole in his basketball shoe and puts an actual like fecal matter into this shoe. Now, the dispute here is some people think that he did it himself, like he just made that happen. Gilbert says that he went outside and found like some dog feces and put it into the shoe. Regardless, he actually put the sole back on it, so like a s'more sandwich, which is disgusting in this case, and then tried to put some baby powder over it. I think Andre Blatch actually figured it out before he actually stepped foot in it. But yeah, that's my first pick. In the Wizards Bonehead draft segment. So yeah, this is just nasty. I'm sorry, guys.
Just so gross.
Yeah,
so gross.
Yeah, that's up there. Yeah, I don't know how to pivot off of that one.
Anyway,
Yeah, Will, you have to take us back somewhere away from poop in the shoe.
with the 4th pick, it's James Herbert of CBS Sports, who is drafting Bonehead
So I'm
Wizards.
going back to
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going back to June 2011 draft night. The Wizards select Jan Vesely,
Right.
and this did not turn out to be a franchise-changing player. But like if you go back and you watch his highlights coming in, like he was a very athletic player, big-time dunker. So he's being interviewed by Mark Jones of ESPN shortly after being drafted. And making out with his girlfriend on camera, which is the moment that most people remember from when he got drafted. That's not what I'm picking. What I'm picking is his interview with Mark Jones, because Mark Jones asks him about being called the European Blake Griffin. And Vesely's response is, I don't know. I think Blake Griffin is the American Jan Vesely.
No way. No.
That's hard.
I love this so much.
That's hard. Yeah. That's good.
Oh
And
my
look,
God.
Vesely, not in the NBA, but he went on to have he was the EuroLeague MVP at one point for Fenerbahce.
yeah.
So like he ended up being pretty good. But yeah, like Kemba and Klay Thompson and Kawhi are still on the board. I love that level of confidence.
Yeah. I mean, that's confidence is definitely one way to put it. I did wonder if Mark Jones asked in the question to Jan Vesely on draft night, did he ask him to express himself?
What?
It's one of his go-to calls.
Oh,
Yeah. All right. No, that didn't hit. All right. Let's move on to the 5th pick.
He did express himself.
yeah.
Blake Murphy has the 5th pick.
All right, with the 5th pick, this is maybe not. I'm drafting for fit here, maybe not necessarily overall value. The Washington Wizards lead the Toronto Raptors 109-106. There are 3.8 seconds left on the clock. The Toronto Raptors are inbounding from underneath their own basket. A 3/4 length of the court inbound pass gets tipped and then corralled by Michael Ruffin. He throws the ball in the air with 2.3 seconds left, thinking they've won the game. He came up with the steal. It won't come down in time. It comes down in time to Morris Peterson, who makes an insane, with a guy draped all over him, 35-footer to send the game to overtime. Raptors win 123-118 in overtime. Not the highest stakes of games,
come on.
but we're talking about silly Wizards things, and this is a Raptors show. Michael Ruffin giving the game back to the Raptors via premature throw the ball in the air celebration is right up there.
Yeah, so I feel like for me, at least as a Raptor fan, this was the most memorable shot in franchise history before Kawhi's shot. And I think that sounds like a little bit nuts to say because there's two very different levels of stakes, but it's genuinely my second favorite shot in franchise history because when Michael Ruffin gets the shot, he doesn't even first off, why didn't he just throw it the other way, away from his own hoop, right? And it's actually a pretty smart idea because I guess you can prevent, getting fouled and extending the game. So it actually makes sense to throw away the ball. But he just looped it up in midair like a lob. And it was actually a really contested shot that Mo Pete had to. I never called him Mo in my life ever. Just calling him Mo Pete Mo is nuts. But onions, baby onions. Yeah, the onions, baby onions call. It's really was one of the very, very happiest moments as a Raptor fan I had.
Terrific quote from Gilbert Arenas in an AMA a couple years ago about this play. How does the strongest man on the floor throw it 5 inches? All he had to do was hold the ball and they foul him. How does he throw the ball after all them push-ups and whatever he did in the weight room?
Yeah, he was a really strong dude. Yeah, shouts at him. So that's a great pick.
In fairness, I understand why he didn't want to shoot the free throws. Ruffin was not renowned for his free throw shooting in the NBA.
He had the right idea. He just
poor execution.
He just threw it 5 feet in the air. That's the funniest thing. All right, so it's now my turn with the 6th pick of the draft here. Lots of options to go for on this one, but I'm gonna go away from some of the on-court moments because I think so. It's very easy to clown. I think not even clown. I think it's just very easy to point out some of the things that they're doing on the floor, but I think off the floor, one of the things that's been a huge thing for Washington fans is just Ernie Grunfeld being there forever and just making bad decisions. And so I'm going to take the worst decision he's ever made, at least as a member of Washington's front office, which is he traded the 5th overall pick in the 2009 NBA draft for Mike Miller and Randy Foye, who I think were only there for 1 year. And that draft became quite important because
Steph
Curry was taken, I think, 7th in this draft. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with that. That was a horrible rental trade, by Ernie. So yeah,
there are a lot of Ernie ones, including the 6-year, $111 million deal for Gilbert Arenas, after his knees had already started breaking down.
Yeah. So it's a tough one.
This one though, it's like in the moment at the time, like I was like deep in the like blog waters at that point, and like he was getting slaughtered for it then. Like it was not this like retroactive thing where people are going back and like, how could he do that? It was like right then in the moment, why is this the all-in move that you're making? Like, what is this, like, how good are you going to be by getting these two guys? Like, you have a really good pick, just use it, like show some degree of patience with this team, but they couldn't do it. And that has been a theme sort of the Wizards, and this like long period of mediocrity that they've had is like they have tried, like that is one of numerous kind of, all right, we are going for it now moves, when it's like, all right, we're trading for like Trevor Ariza, like for a second go around here, or like whatever it is, these moves that theoretically help them a little bit but end up keeping them from getting where they actually want to be.
Yeah, I the only thing here is that Minnesota also didn't draft Steph with that 5th pick. That was Ricky Rubio that they took. And yeah, obviously, you know, everyone should have just picked Steph that year. So anyway, with
Johnny Flynn too.
They took Johnny Flynn as well.
Really,
that's right.
Really great night. Yep.
The 7th overall pick belongs to you, James Herbert of CBS Sports.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to January 2012. This is sort of like yours, Will, in that there are some higher profile incidents that I am letting slip here, but this just amuses me. This was like a little blog moment. January 2012, they are 1-11 on the season after losing to the Rockets, and the great Flip Saunders, RAP, he was their coach at the time. He questions how bad the players are actually feeling about the start to the season. He says, for 3 to 4 weeks, I've been on a steady diet of Subway, which is 20 minutes from my condo. I bring it back to my apartment because, like I said, you don't feel good about yourself. As a team, that's how it has to be. It has to really hurt a lot, i.e. it has to hurt so much that all you are eating is Subway, sadly, alone in your condo. I should also note that on that same night, JaVale McGee threw an off-the-glass alley-oop to himself in the third quarter, and the Rockets responded by immediately going on a 19-4 run. And after the game, McGee expressed that he was surprised that Saunders and several of his teammates were upset that he did it. He was like, apparently, if you get a fast break and throw it off the backboard in the third quarter and you're 1-11, you're not supposed to do stuff like that.
Right.
But he didn't know.
The most shocking part of the story is that it took him 20 minutes to get to the nearest subway. What is this, Toronto, where there's only 2 subway lines? Like, what do you mean, man? No, seriously, though. Like, yeah, I guess Uber Eats didn't exist at that time, or food delivery or whatever. But
no, 2012 is a different game.
Was he really just only eating Subway subs because they were 1-11? Like, you got to have a work-life balance. I'm sorry. I think I might be with JaVale on this one. This is a good pick, though. This is a deep, deep cut.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call this, man. I guess Flip Saunders, $5 footlong. All right. All right.
There you go.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick. Blake, you have the next pick?
Oh, I guess I'm not getting a drop for this.
There you go.
All right. So this one is kind of blending a couple of different things together, but I will center it around 2005. The Washington Wizards are tied 2 games apiece with the Chicago Bulls in the first round of the playoffs. They obviously have not had a lot of team success the last little while. This is the 4th year of former number 1 overall pick Kwame Brown's contract. Okay. Prior to this season, by the way, he had allegedly turned down a big money 4-year contract extension, a 4-year $30 million, I think. So big by the standards of that time, and
turned out Peyton Pritchard money,
and certainly for a guy who hadn't really shown anything. He had averaged 7.7 points and 5.5 rebounds over his first 4 seasons and had taken a big step back in season 4. So this is a number 1 pick. He's obviously a bust. He makes the mistake of turning down a big money contract extension. And then on the eve of the biggest game that the Wizards have played in years, Kwame Brown gets into it with Ernie Grunfeld and Eddie Jordan, and the team says, we're leaving you behind. You are no longer welcome even around the team for the remainder of the playoffs. He gets suspended from the team in the middle of a playoff series where he had played 34 and 22 minutes in 2 of the games.
Okay, wow.
So biggest Wizards game, biggest Wizards pick, biggest Wizards bust, all coalesce with a don't even bother. We're better off without you for the rest of the playoffs. Wizards go on to win that series, by the way, but then get swept by the Heat in round 2.
Wow.
And then they traded Kwame Brown after the season, obviously.
Yeah. That's, you know what? I always enjoy when players fight their coaches / executives. Should happen more often. That's a really great pick. Okay, I'm going to go for my third pick. I guess this is the 9th pick in the draft now. Lots of good ones, but I definitely wanted to make sure I had this one as well because I already have the Gilbert Arenas, Andre Blatche shoe story. I didn't realize this until I did the research today. There's another Gilbert Arenas, Andre Blatche prank gone wrong. I don't know if you guys know this one as well. So the story goes that Andre Blatche was just getting picked on constantly, I guess, by Gilbert Arenas. But Gilbert, so they had something like an icy hot situation, right? They would put it on, their joints or whatever, for the older players, whatever, right? So, but the point is that it's like a tingling cream and, you rub it onto your joints to relieve some pain. What Gilbert did in this case was he rubbed a lot of it in Andre Blatche's boxers for the game.
Great.
And so pregame, he's getting dressed and he puts on the boxers and he's in so much pain in that area that apparently Andre Blatche had to bathe in milk in the Wizards pregame locker room before the game. So yeah, I needed both of these. I feel like this is like getting Marcus and Markieff Morris, who one of them I guess was also a Wizard. So yeah, that's my pick. Just Gilbert Arenas, maybe a bit of a bully. All right, next pick, James Herbert. No reaction to any of those. That's fine.
No, it's good. I mean, it's just like it feels like a part B of your other pick. You just drafted Thanasis because you got Giannis in the first round.
Yeah. This is my Alex Antetokounmpo. Yeah. So, James Herbert, you have the 10th pick in the Wizards Bonehead draft.
So I told myself that if this one lasted this long, I had to take it. I haven't been taking a lot of super duper everybody remembers this stories, but I have to do this. This is the Deshaun Stevenson LeBron James feud. So it starts with Deshaun Stevenson saying to Michael Lee, then of the Washington Post after a game, he's overrated and you can say I said that.
Ooh.
This leads to LeBron saying he wouldn't respond because, quote, it's almost like Jay-Z saying something bad about Soulja Boy. There's no comparison.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Soulja Boy takes that personally, by the way.
Yeah, he does.
Yes. So Stevenson says he hopes they play the Cavs in the playoffs so he can get Soulja Boy courtside wearing his own jersey. That does happen. And indeed, Soulja Boy is there game 3 in DC where the Wizards blow the Cavs out. Caron Butler does the Soulja Boy dance on the floor after an and one.
Wow.
Soulja Boy himself does the dance on the courts. 2 days later, Jay-Z releases a freestyle over the blow the whistle beat in which he disses Stevenson. There's a lot of sort of back and forth here, a lot of details that I can't cover in this amount of time. I do highly recommend the beef history about this that SB Nation did. It's on YouTube. It's really, really good and detailed, but the whole thing is just wild. Like even just the idea that Stevenson and LeBron would be going at each other like this. And it actually ended up sort of morphing into something else. Like later on, Stevenson is on that Mavs team that beats LeBron's Heat in the finals. Like he is playing really good defense against LeBron. Later when his career kind of falls apart, he's like tweeting like, LeBron, get me on the Heat, this like crazy stuff. So there's a bunch of twists and turns from there, but that like month or two when this was really popping was really hilarious. And just a funny blog story at the time, a huge one also.
Damn. No, I mean they don't make NBA beefs like this anymore. I guess they don't really make rap beefs like this anymore either. But
no, this is a really good one. Yeah. And I mean, I think at one point, I mean,
like that JC got spun into this too.
Also, like Deshaun Stevenson being the first LeBron stopper, and then we heard for years everyone try to be the LeBron stopper, or Dwayne Casey call just about everyone a LeBron stopper. It's all Deshaun Stevenson's influence on the game.
We can do a whole draft on just LeBron stoppers.
Yeah,
supposed LeBron stoppers.
Damari Carroll, let's go.
Oh man, with the first pick of Masai Ujiri's picks. Anyway, Eric, go ahead. Blake, you have the 11th pick.
All right, so for the 11th pick, we have just finished the lockout. So 2011 season opener comes around, and Andre Blatch at the Wizards home opener grabs the mic and thanks the crowd, does the whatever, thanks for coming out. And within that, he says, "This is your captain." He's not officially the team captain.
Okay, yeah.
He is self-declaring himself the captain. So what happens, this is like the most rapid fire falling apart. So Andre Blatch declares himself the captain. He then has 11 points on 5 of 13 shooting. The Wizards, of course, lose. Immediately after the game, Flip Saunders makes a vague comment about guys trying to do it individually. And Andre Blatch goes off. He probably was talking about me because the simple fact that I said I need the ball in the paint to be effective. You can't keep having me pick and pop and shooting jump shots. Give me the ball in the paint. And this quote goes on and on. It's like 2 paragraphs of Andre Blatch ripping Flip Saunders. He then goes to Twitter and says, "Everybody needs to shut up. I didn't call out my coach or teammates.
What?
I just need the ball in the post instead of jump shots." So from self-proclaiming you're the captain to throwing your coach under the bus, feuding with him, and then telling fans to shut up, all in the course of 16 hours.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard. No,
that's everything. There's also, I remember there's Saunders kind of comeback later saying, well, I mean, I would like for him to go to the post more. Like the rap on him has always been he wants to shoot jumpers on the perimeter. There was I don't know. You really don't see coaches and players firing barbs at each other like this very often anymore. And the Wizards just provided a lot of stuff like this at the time.
There's a lot of beef surrounding the Washington Wizards. I think that was one of the things too. That's a great pick. I have the 12th pick now. And given that this is a Raptors show, I mean, I'm surprised that it lasted this long, but I got to take Randy Whitman and the whiteboard. So this was in the series where the Raptors got swept by Washington. Also, speaking of Andre Blatch, huge for the Brooklyn Nets, the year the Raptors lost previously in 2014. Oh, yeah. So you got to give him his credit there, even though we're kind of clowning on him here. But just the Randy Whitman whiteboard incident. So, Raptors are in the playoffs against Washington. Whatever, they get swept in that series. But there's this infamous moment where Randy Whitman is he can't figure out how to use the whiteboard. He's he tries to draw it up one way, then he flips it around the other way, then he flips it around the third time. It was just it was a great find, and I think it really rubbed salt into the wounds of the Raptors to be like, okay, yeah, we're really getting swept by this man in particular.
Yeah, and the Paul Pierce of it all as well. I feel like this one would also come up if we were doing a bad Raptors moments draft.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, yeah, it's a two-way player, I suppose. So we are now on the 13th pick, or the last round of this draft. James Herbert, your 5th and final pick.
I don't know what it says about me. I have 10 different things I could choose from at this point. Probably says more about the Wizards.
All right, we'll bring in Mark Tatum, who I guess Alex Wong will be in this case, and we'll do a round 2, I guess.
So I'm going. This is another blog moment. February 2011. Andre Blatch takes the court wearing a jersey that has his last name spelled wrong. It says Balch, Baltche, and I cannot look at this image without cracking up. It is so funny. It is so amazingly Wizards, and I didn't actually know this until literally Googling this today to look it up. But UniWatch at the time noted this was the Wizards' 3rd uniform mishap in 33 days.
No way.
So, yeah, leading up to that, Kevin Seraphin had entered a game with his shorts on backwards.
Okay.
And before that, I'd forgotten about this one, but this one is almost as good as the Balch thing. Mustafa Shakur, who had been called up from what was then known as the D League, had worn a jersey that looked just completely insane because apparently at the last second, a Wizards employee had to stitch on his name and number, and they were both really out of position. Like to me, I like the Balch one was the best / worst / funniest, but there's just like a big gap between the two twos for his number 22, and like his name is like kind of halfway down his back. Like it looks really stupid, this Mustafa Shakur jersey. So like the Balch thing was enough on its own, but then when I kind of found out that this was the third time this had happened in just over a month, yeah, it just goes to show like Washington had like all sorts of things go wrong, from the big franchise altering disasters to just this like silly stuff that seemed to happen to them more than any other franchise in the league.
Yeah, I like your draft because you literally go from the very top to the team owner to like just a regular team employee misspelling one of their players' names. A longtime Wizard too, I might add. So great pick. All right, Blake, your last pick here.
All right, so this one was done in good enough fun, I guess. But in 2016, Gilbert Arenas, live on Snapchat, broke into Nick Young's house.
Oh, I remember this.
And proceeded to not only swear way too much in front of kids, but scare, I can't remember if it was his son or his daughter, but scared one of Nick Young's kids enough that they started bawling. So Gilbert Arenas and Nick Young kind of had like a long running prank war anyway. And then at one point when Nick Young got asked on Twitter, back when he was tweeting all the time, you know, no tats on the right arm, strictly for buckets and things like that. What was your favorite memory of being teammates with Gilbert Arenas? And he said him getting traded, which was pretty good. But a prank on your teammate, not even gone wrong, because I don't think Gilbert Arenas cared. But yeah, live streaming you breaking into a teammate's house and terrorizing their children, even if it's in good fun, I think makes the draft here.
No, this is great. This is great. We needed a Swaggy P pick on here because it just wouldn't really feel
so much of
fair.
His stuff comes post Wizards. I like stretch to find one, and like the Nick and JaVale show that they had was like goofy, but like nothing, like it does somehow none of that stuff cracks the top 15 of Wizards nonsense.
No, that's gonna be a really good third, or I guess second round pick. That would be like Draymond at 35 or something. Okay, the last pick I'm taking here is, and I don't feel right of having this sort of like Wizards Bonehead sort of segment without putting him in here. So this is like, I actually had some better picks on this one, but I had to put JaVale McGee into this list. And so overall, obviously, JaVale, for his Washington Wizards segment, is really known for just making Shaqtin a fool every week, to the point where I think it actually detrimented his career. So I do feel bad in that sense. Like, you know, your career shouldn't be defined by these kind of plays. And it did really hurt his reputation overall. Having said that, though, this one happened in a Raptor game, where, so the play goes, it was February 6, 2012, and the Wizards actually ended up winning in overtime by 3. Washington 111, Toronto 108. And it's the third quarter, and they give the ball to JaVale. He drives in, you know, I think against Amir Johnson, and gets a little sweeping hook shot off. It doesn't go anywhere. And JaVale, having missed a shot, he's like, all right, I'm going to run all the way back on defense in transition because, you know, he's a defensive anchor for that team. However, what he doesn't realize until he gets to his own three-point line, and he literally runs out of frame, is that his teammates got the offensive rebound. And so John Wall just has the ball at the very top, and he just has to wait for JaVale to run back onto the screen, eventually, I guess, get into the play. And I think that what the cherry on top on this one is JaVale is on the baseline in the dunker spot as John Wall drives, and he like calls for a lob. John Wall serves him up with a lob, and JaVale doesn't handle the pass, and it goes out of bounds or something. So, yeah, I think JaVale just has to be on this list. He was on like Shaqtin a fool every single week back in the day, man. It was impressive. So
yeah, there are a few JaVale things to choose from. This one is probably the most, just like, I remember this so viscerally. Like, even John Wall's.
All right. James
we may have James frozen here.
It might have temporarily frozen, but
we will wait for him to unfreeze. And I think another thing that is very Wizardsy as it relates to JaVale and just generally, JaVale is now a 3-time NBA champion.
Yeah,
JaVale McGee and Nick Young won a championship together.
Yes.
Somewhere else. So, James, I was just saying to Will that I think with the JaVale stuff, JaVale is a 3-time champion. Him and Nick Young won a championship together. There is also, I didn't know how to draft this, but 3 of the Pistons, when they won their championship, had been Wizards on their rookie deals. Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, and Rip Hamilton. They let them all go. They come together in Detroit to win a title. Dallas's championship had 3 guys who had just left the Wizards as well.
Right.
And then you see JaVale and Nick Young win a championship together. So not only have the Wizards had all of this nonsense happen to them and around them, a whole bunch of the pieces have gone on to have success elsewhere, including together, like the Nick and JaVale show. I can't imagine a better twisting of the knife for Wizards fans than those two guys at a championship parade.
Yeah.
Welcome back, James.
Yeah, welcome back. I wanted to ask you, because we do have a 5 more minutes before we go to this break. Was there anything that you guys left on the cutting room floor? Like, what's your Fred VanVleet undrafted picks of this Washington Wizards segment here? James, we'll start with you.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I can do a Nick Young one.
Okay.
Which you already said he was going to be in the second round. So let's rewind to March 2012. Nick Young records what for him was a career high of 6 assists in a game against the Lakers. About that, he says, "Hey, man, that's what I got to do. Make my teammates better. I'm just a complete player, you know." And he's laughing through that entire quote. In that same game, Nick Young went up for a wide open layup that if you've seen it once, you will remember this for the rest of your life. He's on a fast break. He goes up for like what would be a normal finger roll, and the ball somehow flies out of his hands over the backboard entirely and out of bounds. It's on YouTube as like worst layup attempt ever. He had another really bad layup attempt like the next year, but he was a Clipper by then. So yeah, that was just an all around incredible Nick Young evening with his quote about being a complete player while laughing through it. And then also just one of the lowlights on court of his career, I would say.
Yeah, I have to say, I really do like Nick Young, Swaggy P. Like, I just really enjoyed him in the league, and I kind of do miss him. He was like, I don't know, like I always kind of envisioned like a man like him being in the league. Like, he would just do outrageous stuff. Like, his go-to move was a 360 midair layup. That was actually his signature move. There's a video online of him teaching people how to do a 360 layup. And not like Pascal, like spin move, like in midair 360 layup.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Go ahead, James.
It wasn't that different from like the Vince Carter one that he had done a few times. Like,
right.
It was a really pretty move. It's just when it went badly, it went horribly badly.
And I think one of the best things about Nick Young is that he was also like, there was a stretch of his career where, I don't know, for like 7-8 years, he was actually like legitimately good. So he would bounce around and like, yes, be a meme and stuff. But there were a number of times he was a free agent. I was like, you know who would be really good on the Raptors as like a bench 3-and-D guy? And obviously I just
3-and-D.
3-and-D. 3-and-3.
3-and-2.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
A bench scorer type. But you could talk yourself into it. And that's like, it's one thing for like guys who are completely don't matter to be goofs or whatever. But yeah, like JaVale was a real piece. Andre Blatch was a real piece. Nick Young was a real. It's extra funny that they are important pieces that the Wizards at no point could have just been like, well, you know what? It's not worth it. They had to try to ride this out.
Right.
Yeah.
Blake, what was who's your undrafted picks?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of the Grunfeld thing I said before that, like, I really do think Nick Young and JaVale McGee winning a championship together elsewhere is a part of this.
Okay. All right. I have a couple here. JaVale McGee trying to dunk the ball from the foul line down 116-91 with 20 seconds left. The ball flies out of his hands.
Bargnani style.
Yeah. That's one. Washington Wizards run 8 straight post-ups for JaVale McGee so that he can ultimately secure his first triple-double. I don't know if he's had a second one after that, but it was an 11-point, 12-rebound, 12-block triple-double. He was stuck on 9 points for a long time. They literally ran the post-ups for him 8 straight times against the Chicago Bulls. They lost in a 20-point blowout against Chicago in this game. I also have Otto Porter falling asleep on defense, which is a really, really great play. Shouts to Raptors legend Otto Porter. But it is really great. And I also have on here Andre Blatch chasing a triple-double. He gets mad at his own teammate for rebounding. When he was on 9 rebounds, and then the play goes the other way. One of his teammates goes to the foul line, so he's lined up against Yi Jianlian, Chinese legend, who I think at the time was playing for the New Jersey Nets, and he actually begs Yi to let me get this rebound here if it comes off, because he wants to rebound. I think his teammate made the shot, so ultimately he doesn't actually.
He wasn't having it anyway, though.
He wasn't going to get it anyway, and then with 4 seconds left, Andre Blatch begs for the inbound, drives the length of the court. As a center, quite agile, I might add, and tries to get a missed layup for himself so that he can rebound his own miss. He got the triple-double. He did not get this triple-double, by the way. I also have on here.
Both of those are so bad. Like the McGee one was like the worst triple-double ever, and Blatch is like probably the most shameless, embarrassing failed triple-double ever.
Yes. I had a lot of Andre Blatch stories in this one, but this one I didn't know until I looked it up. This one's in the Washington Post. So I'll just read it verbatim. Washington Wizards forward Andre Blatch, who was arrested August 2nd in an undercover sting, agreed today to attend a day-long seminar offered by prosecutors for men who solicit prostitutes. He literally tried to solicit from an undercover cop and got busted. So this is another Andre Blatch story. And then the final one here is another headline that I'm just going to read verbatim. Gilbert Arenas one-shot Nick Young with a BB gun while they were in a meeting about firearm safety by the NBA. Yeah, so the story here, the backstory is that Nick Young went to his house with paintball guns and shot up, I guess they just played paintball or whatever in a house, which seems ridiculous. And then the next day he decided it was a good idea to bring this BB gun to work. This is, I think, after the whole thing with Gilbert Arenas already happened. And then, they were having a firearm. The NBA was putting on a firearm safety instructional seminar in the workplace, and Gilbert Arenas shot him with a BB gun. So anyway, the Washington Wizards play the Raptors tonight. We'll tune in here, and we'll actually keep James Herbert on the line after this break because Alex Wong has insisted on playing a round of who he played for. So James, aka James Herbert of CBS Sports, will continue to be on the show. But I've been your host, Willow. You've been listening to the Raptor Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Welcome back to the Raptor Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wayne Liu, continue to be joined by Blake Murphy, and Alex has requested to rejoin the show because he loves playing who he played for, which I don't think anyone really needs a description as to what this game is. Obviously, this has been a game that's been played on inside the NBA for a very, very long time. Obscure players, journeyman players who change teams via free agency or trade in the offseason. And the host, which typically I guess would be Ernie, would be asking these to Charles Barkley. In this case, Alex is our Charles Barkley, and James Herbert is our Ernie. So take it away.
What up, James?
All right, let's go, Alex. This one I don't think is that hard. I think you've seen him play at least once this year. Troy Brown Jr.
I have not seen Troy Brown Jr. He was on the Raptors schedule? Preseason or regular season? I need a lifeline already. Yeah.
Regular season.
Regular season. Oh, brother.
Real early.
Minnesota?
Ding, ding, ding.
Wow.
I got it.
That was a good hint.
I'm giving Blake the assist on that one.
Yeah, I'm getting half a point for that.
More assists than Troy Brown Jr.
By the way,
this year.
I appreciate Will trying to describe who he played for. Every game I play on here is just, does Alex know basketball?
Yeah.
All right, what's up? What's up, James? What's next?
All right, I think we might have mentioned this guy's name over the past few years on this segment.
I didn't even listen to the
Shamet.
last segment, but what was it? Who did you say? Landry Shamet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Man.
He brick threes in Brooklyn. He brick threes in Philly. He brick threes on the Clippers. Where is he now? He can't be on a winning team because he's not a winning player.
He is not on a winning team.
He's not on a winning team. I'm going to go with the Detroit Pistons.
Oh, the Washington Wizards.
Oh, my God, man. That's not fair.
Down right now.
Damn. Okay. I'm going to put him into a parlay tonight. Yeah.
No way, man. What's the parlay?
Minutes
1.5
played.
minutes.
All right, let's go.
I'm gonna go with another who he played for, a veteran, and depending on how you do on this question, it'll depend who I pick next. If I go over an easier one or a harder one.
If I get to
Aaron
keep playing.
Holiday.
Oh my!
You've
God.
done Aaron Holiday every time you've come on, man. Like, Aaron
Played
Holiday.
for a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Holiday, the vacation nobody wants. Let's see. I'm gonna go with. You know what? You know my defaults are always Orlando and Utah. I'm gonna go with the Orlando Magic.
No, he is playing for a very relevant team right now, the Houston Rockets.
Oh wow! I just watched the Rockets last night. Did he play?
No,
Okay.
Yes, he played.
He did.
I did not see him in the fourth.
Yeah,
He's averaging like 16, 17 minutes a game for
good
them.
for him, man.
He's
Okay.
like in the rotation.
You know what? I need to start using my lifelines too. I literally have two true hoopers here. My
You
bad.
have Kenny and Shaq here. I suppose I'm Shaq in this case. Blake is Kenny.
It's just two Shaqs.
Yeah.
All right, what's up? What's next, James?
All right, since you got that wrong, I'm gonna have some mercy on you. This is an easier one, in my opinion, anyway. Aaron's brother, Justin Holiday.
Oh, brother.
Justin Holiday. All right, lifeline, boys. Give me a hint.
How do I do this without giving it away?
I mean, you could go like good team, bad team, maybe.
Well,
I
he's
don't know.
definitely on a good team. Some might say the best team.
Ooh,
Some might say
that reduces it greatly.
Is he on Denver?
He is on Denver.
Oh,
You're
okay.
doing well, Alex.
I've
pretty
only,
good.
yeah, I've
He's
only,
not playing much. But
I've only gotten them right on Lifeline, so
This is
make them harder, man. Let's go.
Where's Drew Holiday playing?
these are two
I have to
assists
think
for Blake.
about.
By
I have to think about that one too. All right, James, make these more difficult for me, man.
Wow. Okay.
Oh wow, I was gonna. Okay.
No, raise
fine.
my rent, brother. Yeah.
I'm changing this one. RJ Hampton.
No, man, what is that? Where they signed KD? Oh my God.
This is a legit hard one because I think he's appeared in one game this year.
You know what? This is like
The answer is very true to you, Alex.
what? It's
Yeah.
very true to me.
That's
Yeah,
an
it's-
interesting hint.
I would say your favorite team to talk about.
My favorite team. What is my favorite team to talk about? I love talking about. Who do I love talking about? Who, the Spurs?
No.
Oh,
No.
Another-
I'm sorry.
another-
hold on. Don't tell
Another-
me. Give me 3 picks. The Blazers?
No.
No.
God. Who else do I
Have you
like?
ever talked about the
Okay, do you want another hint?
Yeah, one more hint.
Like
I have
the
no idea how to score
like the
this.
Spurs, they are a culture-oriented organization.
Oh,
Oh, he's on the Heat?
he's on the Heat.
Is he playing?
No.
Oh my
No,
God.
I told you he's appeared in one game.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You asked for a hard one.
All the names that Will and I kicked around of like who would be the next Gabe Vincent and stuff, all those guys are playing way, way more than RJ
Oh my
Hampton.
God. All right, give me like 2 more, James. Watch the clock.
All right. Let's go Cody Zeller.
Oh, brother.
Oh, brother. He on his 5th stint with the Hornets or what, man? Cody Z. Big Z. Big
Was that
Z.
your guess?
No. No. Big Z is on Cleveland.
No.
Oh,
well,
my
there was a big Z on Cleveland once upon a time.
I'm thinking about Tyler
But not
Zeller.
this big Z.
This man making it
Okay.
Ilgauskas.
Yeah.
Let's try a hint here. Hornets was close if you think of the history of the franchise.
Oh my God.
That's a great hint, man.
Hornets was
Actually,
close.
in a couple of different ways, I would say, actually.
Yeah, geographically too, I guess.
Oh, the Pelicans.
He is with the Pelicans.
Okay, that doesn't count though. All right, give me one more, man. Make this the most difficult one.
I don't know. RJ Hampton was the most difficult one.
Okay.
but I'll
Give me one more. I love playing.
He's on the comeback trail. Harry Giles.
Harry Giles.
Oh yeah.
What?
This is a team
yeah.
full of great third stringers right now. They've done a great job loading the roster.
Got this?
Joe Size Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
Got it.
You nailed it.
Oh man, James, I appreciate
Wow.
In that third unit with Armani Brooks.
you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I almost had Armani. I thought
No, it's too
you would
cool.
know Armani. I thought it was too
I
easy.
would have said the Capital City Go-Go if you said Armani Brooks. So
All right.
that would have been a good game. So.
All right.
Throwing a G leaguer in would have been cruel.
Ronald Roberts Jr. Where is he right now? All right. Appreciate James Herbert of CBS Sports, aka Games Herbert, for playing 2 games with us today. But that wraps it up for us. By the way, for people keeping score at home, Alex went. You actually got a lot of these. Blake has 4 assists on these ones.
Yo, how did Blake pick up a Nick Young career high 6 assists on that, man?
Yeah. So, but the one you did
Triple-double
get
screen
unassisted
assist.
was Harry Giles playing for the Brooklyn Nets. But that does it for us today. I've been your host, Willow. You've been listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. And please rate and review the show. Thanks once again to James Herbert. Action Bronson. This guy put him in the rundown. Okay.
Hard.
Producer, co-host Alex Wong, Blake Murphy, our board producer Derek Brandell, Jennifer Rolnick, David Sis, Jared Manatide, helping behind the scenes. The Raptors better not lose to Washington tonight.